You never seen a takedown like this. Woke British author Alibhai-Brown was forced to take her words back after accusing actor Laurence Fox of being a racist bully simply for not wanting a racial prefix attached to people. And I found it incredible how the left's sway on the cultural and racial conversation is weakened after its peak in 2020 when this was recorded. Watch this and you'll know exactly what I mean.
You should actually ask other people whether there is racism, not you, because I know it's very hard for you to be such a privileged white man. It's a burden. I can see it's a burden. You hate it, being a Fox. But you should actually listen to some of us and look at the stuff I get, so that I'm even getting death threats because I'm a Muslim and a woman and an immigrant. And listen to us, Laurence, don't speak for us.
Let him respond.
No, absolutely. I've also had a few death threats in my time.
But are you open enough to Yasmin's view or the view of the lady on Question Time who asked the question?
I feel the language is in itself racist. To say you're a white privileged male, if you reverse that, and I said you are a black underprivileged woman, that is a racist thing to say. So I think that we have to have...
It isn't. You can say you're
in your view,
black
Yasmin,
underprivileged woman. Lots of black underprivileged women say that about themselves.
Well, what about black privileged woman?
I'm a privileged Asian woman. I say that.
I don't
deny it.
Where is the disagreement then?
I don't think we do disagree. I do
disagree. Oh, no. I do not agree with you at all after this monstrous moment. Nothing you say.
Nothing we can find in common.
Nothing.
Why was it monstrous, though, Yasmin?
Because he did not listen. He did not give any respect to this point of view, which is not just a point of view, it is a lived reality. And that's what really upset me. So I've stopped watching you, by the way. Even on Lewis, which I used to like.
Okay,
what, you stopped watching him acting?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, but he's playing different roles when he acts.
A terrible woman I am.
Don't do that. We can be friends. I'm sure there's something we have in
Mr.
common.
Fox, you and I will never be friends. We will not even be vague acquaintances, but we can talk. And I want you, and I did think about, I think you find it quite hard to be a privileged man. I'm not being sarcastic.
In what way do you?
Because you react so viscerally to it.
What I reacted viscerally was to a racist allegation.
It wasn't a racist allegation. You are a white privileged man.
No, I'm just a man.
No, you're not just a man. You're a white privileged man.
I don't even know where to start, because while Yasmin pretends that's not what she means by bringing Laurence's race or gender into the equation, it's betrayed by everything else she said on this panel. Before I tell you though, be sure to subscribe to Millionaire Mentor for daily takedowns just like this. Now, the truth is the only reason the left even plays this collectivist identity game is the same way it wants to remedy economic inequality, which is giving some people more, whether it's money or louder voice in the conversation, on a collective basis against another collective group. There's no other reason to bring up that fact that Laurence Fox is white than to add an asterisk to every opinion that he has and then minimize it using some notion of collectivist racial privilege. And that in itself is racist, plain and simple, because it's the use of race to overpower individual beliefs and experiences, and in some sense it's the worst manifestation of it because of the left. This kind of racism is blinded by its own sense of moral virtue. But I'm so glad Laurence wasn't having any of it, because what happened next reset the tone of this entire panel.
Their response was so brilliant. But to go back to...
Well, he says they diluted it as a result of his complaint.
They stood up to a racist bully, I thought.
Did you just call me a racist bully?
Yes, I did, actually.
I was so looking forward for the first court case, and it's you.
Oh, good. Okay.
Because you do need to justify that, Yasmin.
Well, because he said it wasn't just, it was also about Black History Month. You were also objecting to Black History Month.
I didn't object at all to Black History Month, actually, Yasmin. And I would like you to withdraw your allegation now
and
formally apologise to me, otherwise I will be taking you to court.
No, I will not formally apologise to you.
Okay.
But I will say that there is a bullying side to you.
No, you called me a racist bully.
Okay, I withdraw that.
Right.
But I will not apologise.
Was that a joke along with I want white men to be extinct? Is that up with...
No, I wasn't joking this time.
Okay, I think one of the great reasons to start a party like Reclaim is, as Yasmin is such a beautiful...
So you can deport me?
It's such a wonderful example of this. When she said earlier in the show, she said, I will never speak to you. I do not want to have a relationship with you. Not at all. And then 2 minutes ago said, I've got a book for you. Can I give it to you? And I went, sure. It's the fact
only
that we
to educate you.
Can I finish?
It's to educate you.
Can I finish? Thank you. Is that we are, in this country, the vast majority of people are being lectured to by an extremely small minority of very vocal people like Yasmin, who are essentially part of the establishment and the London metropolitan elite, who hate the country, hate who we are. And, you have Ash Sarkar
who
calling...
we are? What do you mean by
Well,
we?
you have Ash Sarkar calling this place this cursed isle. You've got Alistair Campbell. And it's like, no, we need to be honest. I agree with you. We need to be honest about what the history of our country, but also let's be proud of what we've done and patriotic about it.
See what I mean? When the accusation of racism becomes a throw-around insult, you're going to have someone that eventually takes you up for it. And that's because Yasmin herself, as a figure in the far left of the UK, has been someone that can't stop using racial prefixes, whether it's individuals or groups. Take, for example, this article all the way back in 2009 that she wrote when the far left we know now didn't even have that great of a cultural sway. Speaking in terms of race, once again, she asked to spare her the tears of the white working class in the UK, and all you need to do is flip the racial language to see how quickly problematic and racist it sounds. Reminds me of a quote by Thomas Sowell who said, quote, racism is not dead, but it is on life support kept alive by politicians, race hustlers, and people who get a sense of superiority by denouncing others as racists. And the true progressive and liberal left has fought against genuine racism during the civil rights fight, and they don't use that as a cheap talking point. Watch this timeless clip from Morgan Freeman, who's ironically saying the exact same thing about Black History Month as Yasmin accuses Laurence of saying.
Black History Month you find
ridiculous.
Why?
You're going to relegate my history to a month?
Oh, come on.
What do you do with yours? Which month is White History Month? No, well, come on, tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay, which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh, why not?
No.
Do you want one?
No.
I don't either. I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism until...
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man. I know you as Mike Wallace. You know me as Morgan Freeman. You're going to say, well, I know this white guy named Mike Wallace.
Now, from Laurence's point of view, you realize that what started much of this row with Yasmin was his response to a program on British television earlier. Laurence Fox had a bit of a scuffle with an audience member on Question Time after calling it racist to dismiss his views on the Meghan Markle race controversy simply because of his whiteness.
I think it's really unfair because look, we've got the Queen, who is an extremely different ballgame, isn't she? She's duty ahead of everything else. And I think, when you're younger, you do want to make a life for your family. So I do empathise with them. But I do think there's a little bit of having cake and eating it, which I don't enjoy.
Okay. Yes, you, the woman there, stuck your hand right up.
The problem we've got with this is that Meghan has agreed to be Harry's wife, and then the press have torn her to pieces. And let's be really clear about what this is. Let's call it by its name. It's racism. She's a black woman, and she has been torn to pieces.
You can't.
She has been torn to pieces.
It's not racism.
It absolutely is.
We're the most tolerant, lovely country in Europe. Let's celebrate our women. It's not racism. It's so easy to throw the charge of racism at everybody, and it's really starting to get boring.
What worries me about your comment is you are a white privileged male who has no experience in this.
I mean, I
can't help what I am. I was born like this. It's an immutable characteristic. So to call me a white privileged male is to be racist. You're being racist.
You cannot dismiss.
Okay. I'm not taking a view either way. I'll just add in that Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, also took the view that it wasn't racism. I'm not making a judgment on that.
It's like racism for the modern far left works both ways, both as a cudgel to shut people down and a shield to feign victimhood. And yes, the attitude in itself is implicitly racist if it believes in elevating or minimizing voices on that basis. Now, it's interesting that the race conversation in the UK is following a lot of the same parallels it did here in the US, but let me know in the comments what you thought about this exchange, because the UK has its own cultural nuances that could take the race debate to a much different end than we've seen here.